And my name is Eula, and today we were gonna read Andrew Lost 13 in the Garbage Story, starting at 40 page and the end of reading at chapter 8 for today. And now are ready to read this one book with a lot of stories. Now here we go. And first we should read Andrew Lost 13 in the Garbage Story, starting at 40 page. "You're looking good," he said. It's show time." "Show time," said Judy. "The show must be us." "Named Udi and Jerk still too big for red regular worms to eat," said Dud. "Hugo used worms to trickle stinky garbage into super plant food. Worms eat garbage and paper, and one day worm ate as much as a worm ate. Worm poop out stuff called castings, superfood for plants." Hugo scooped a hole in the dirt mixture and laid the worms gently into the bin. The garbage bag jiggled. The tips of Hugo's big fingers are headed for Andrew. "Yikes," yelled Andrew. He hid under the eggshell. A slice of gooey brown banana slid over him. Crack! Andrew's eggshell snapped between Hugo's fingers. Hugo was dragging him up with a handful of gross, disgusting garbage. Hugo exclaimed that Hugo examined that what he had pulled up. "Ah, yes," he said. "A happy meal for worms, eggshell for calcium, greens for vitamins, bananas for dessert." Andrew caught frantically at the slimy banana slice. "If I can get from under this yucky banana," thought Andrew, Hugo will see me and not throw us to the worms." Suddenly, Andrew was falling again. Splat. Now it's chapter 7, Eat Dirt. As Hugo dropped a handful of garbage into the bin, Andrew tumbled out of an eggshell and got smacked in the head by a green pea and slammed by a pickle. "Oofers," yelled Andrew as he landed on the shield of newspaper. A damp killer smell filled his nose, the smell of dirt. The shadow fell over the bin. Hugo's big hands are heading down. They begin to stir the garbage and Andrew into the dirt. Andrew flickered on his flashlight. What could protect him from getting crushed by those giant fingers? "There is a peanut shell," thought Andrew. He scrambled under a igloo shape and scraped the dirt away. The fingers were pushing his peanut shell down and down. Then, when the shell stopped moving, but other things were moving, it felt like rough hair bushes were scratching Andrew's arms and legs. Reddish brown worms that looked like a bulgy garden hoses were turning through the garbage and dirt and over Andrew. "Yowzers," yelled Andrew. "These guys are scratchy." "Meat worms got bristles," said Dud. "Use bristles to dig through dirt. Help worm to stick in the wormhole, not get pulled out by bird." One of the worms stopped in front of Andrew. All Andrew could see was a brown flap. "Meat head of worm," said Dud. "Worm not got eyes, not got nose, not got ears, but flap in front of mouth. Tell worm about light. Tell worm about smells. Worm feels stuff move." The worm lifted his flap. Beneath was the mouth that looked like an inner tooth. Dirt and bits of paper and lettuce were getting dragged into the mouth. It was like a vacuum cleaner. "Meat Worms stuck in dirt, said Dad. Worms stuck in dirt, said Dad. Eat bits of food and lost the bacteria. Poop out castings. Other worm wiggled up to Andrew's face and left his flap. Andrew tried to squirm out of the way, but the worm pressed its slimy, rubbly mouth against Andrew's nose. Yuck, shouted Andrew. He tried to shove the worm's glowy flap away. This worm is awfully strong. Meat worm is a muscle, said Dad. Worm got stronger than the same size human. Clap, clap, clap. Something was pounding on the other side of the peanut shell. I hear he is a double, said a voice, Andrew Mewell. Judy, said Andrew, I need a little help here. Judy crept around to the inside of the shell. Ew, she said when she saw the worm sucking Andrew's nose. It loves you. Matilda, no. Andrew heard Hugo yell. Suddenly, something latched onto the peanut shell and shook it. The worm came loose from Andrew's nose. Andrew and Judy pulled a shell over themselves. A fishy stink mixed with the smell of garbage and dirt. The peanut shell was going up like a fast elevator. The beam of Andrew's flashlight showed they were in a small space with curving yellow walls. Matilda, shouted Hugo, hope you're not eating my hard-working worms. That's why I feed you peanuts. But the seagull paid no attention to Hugo's shouts. It was flying up with Andrew and Judy in its beak. Now it's chapter 8, 2 ways to get down in the dumps. So, Andrew and Judy is in the garbage, and there is a worm in the garbage, and worm eat the garbage, trash stuff. So they have met the wiggly worm inside of the garbage. So it will be really scary to meet a worm by getting small. So when we get small and see the worm, then worm will look more bigger than we see it from now on. So it would be more scary and disgusting when you see it when we get smaller because of some invitations of Andrew. So let's see this wiggly worm story, but maybe if you read all of this story, then we should get a new book for tomorrow. And now, please thumbs up my YouTube, and bye everyone.